Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, and thanks for being here for Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy. Several websites, revamping the websites here for both Anchorage, Fairbanks, and the Juneau forecast offices. So try them out before July 6th is when they kick in, but don't bookmark these addresses, as I guess they might they might change before they do, but take a look at it and go through it and tell us what you think. And for the flood warning that was out for the Mendenhall Glacier, that's now been canceled and is over, and there are no advisories or warnings anywhere in the state for weather. And fire danger, showing some areas of still high fire danger, not much different from yesterday here over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, also the Seward Peninsula, down toward the Nulato Hills, Kobuk Valley, Noatak Valley, Selawik Valley, right out to Kotzebue Sound, and over towards the Koyukuk Valley, otherwise pretty low elsewhere on down across the Panhandle. And looking at the satellite imagery from yesterday, a lot of clouds there, kind of shifting up to the north, drying out a little bit to the south throughout the day. And then this cloud shield here brought the good rainfall across south central Alaska and the interior valleys there. That kind of slipping on southward, edging its way eastward, but plunging southward here, bringing some showers, thunderstorms into Bristol Bay and showers into Kodiak Island. Another system down here to the south, moving up to the northeast, and that brought rain into the Panhandle throughout the day today, but the whole system weakening now as the front moves inland, swings up to the north a little bit, but rainfall amounts today ranged from about 1/3 of an inch at Ketchikan, the 6-hour period from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And otherwise, Yakutat had about 11/100ths of an inch today. And some moisture up here, 1 to 2 tenths falling over the eastern Tanana Valley, where some thunderstorms breaking out. And under those thunderstorms, could have picked up a 1/2 inch or more of rain with those over a small area there. But a lot of clouds here, more out to the west today. You can see the high clouds here from the Seward Peninsula across Norton Sound down toward almost into the Bethel area. And then out to the west, we had a weakening trough here, bringing a little moisture and clouds into the eastern Aleutians, possibly the Pribilofs. I think the clouds got in there. And that same pattern extends all the way out to the Commodore-ski Islands, but clearing skies here for the Seward Peninsula, actually from the Chukchi Sea, North Slope, sunshine, much of the Arctic coast clear today. Early morning fog over toward Kaktovik and Barter Island, but that burned off during the afternoon hours. And pretty good clearing down along the southwest coast there into the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, showers or areas of light rain occurring here from the Alaska Range northward, and thunderstorm activity there from the eastern Tanana Valley up into the Koyukuk Valley, and even back to the northwest there toward the Noatak Valley, a few lightning strikes occurring. And the system down here to the south, again, wet over the southern Panhandle, better and drier conditions on up to the north. Forecast for tonight, that system really weakens and pushes off to the east. Still have some showers lingering here over the southern southeast coast, but variably cloudy on up to the north. Scattered showers, North Gulf Coast, eastern Copper River Basin, and again, evening thunderstorms over the interior areas, becoming just mostly scattered showers and cloudy skies. Kuskokwim Valley, Alaska Range, on down into northern Bristol Bay. Generally cloudy tonight for Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula, and mostly cloudy for the Copper River Basin areas, but westerly flow here beginning to clear it out, decreasing the clouds. Definitely dry for Kodiak Islands as showers kick off to the east, and pretty dry with light winds here over the eastern Bering Sea. Areas of low clouds and fog could bank up on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula and extend back up toward the Pribilos, which is say VFR here for the southwest coast, up across St. Lawrence Island, the Bering Strait, no problems there, Seward Peninsula, and back up to the north slope. Could see some fog again develop along the eastern Arctic coast. A lot of showers, or really just areas, cloudy skies with maybe some areas of light rain, drizzle, or fog from the Alaska Peninsula again all the way out to Shimmy and Attu. And looking ahead to tomorrow, not much change out here going on. Very weak low center, no gradient at all, so winds are quite light and variable across the entire southern central Bering Sea to the Alaska Peninsula. And a lot of clouds, fog, patchy areas of drizzle with that in the green shaded areas. And that flow crossing the Aleutian Range there, Kodiak Island, looking mostly sunny tomorrow with pretty good temperatures. Wind's not all that strong, but the right direction to bring sunshine at least to the lee side of the island there on the east side. Showers again, Bristol Bay, thunderstorms possible, Talkeetna Mountains, lesser chance for the Chugats there, but look for some showers to develop over the Kenai Peninsula tomorrow. Partly sunny in the morning, becoming partly mostly cloudy here in the afternoon, partly sunny for the Copper River Basin, thunderstorms eastern Alaska Range, and also the eastern interior. Some of those could be on the moderate side over to the central Tanana area, then back down into the Kuskokwim Valley along the western Alaska Range. Staying mostly sunny here and dry, variably cloudy for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, mostly sunny over the west and northwest interior, as well as the north slope. Showers developing over the Koyukuk Valley on up to the central Brooks Range. Southwest flow on the increase here, so looking for some small craft advisories for St. Lawrence Island, and some moisture getting caught up in that may show up here from Teller, Tin City to Wales and those areas, but it'd be quite light. And look for a partly to mostly sunny day here for the southeast coast. Any showers will be lingering there in the Stewart to Hyder area. Otherwise, it will remain dry. And then for the outlook for Sunday, there we go. Kind of a weak warm front, these systems dropping out of Russia, and of course this time of the year that's warmer air following in behind, so you end up with some warm front type action going on with that. Again, the drizzle, light rain, fog type of thing. IFR conditions there swinging across, just a weak trailing edge dragging across the central Aleutians. No change over the southeast Bering Sea here, except more clouds into Bristol Bay. Better chance for some light shower activity or drizzle here along the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. This system moving off to the east a little bit here, just south of Kodiak Island, really most of the weather staying to the south. Thunderstorms again over the eastern central interior areas, partly sunny with scattered showers developing over the mountainous terrain here on 4th of July for Prince William Sound, as well as the Kuskokwim Valley western Alaska Range. And then that trough that was off the coast tomorrow will probably move in after midnight tomorrow night, bring showers into the Port Alexander, Sitka, Elfin Cove area. And so for the 4th of July, looking mostly cloudy, and there should be at least a few showers around in some areas there. Winds west-northwest, on the light side, maybe 10 to 15. For temperatures this afternoon down that way, 50s to mid-60s, 66 at Juneau this afternoon. Otherwise, Klawock had 56, 57 Metlakatla, Sitka up to 60, 61 here at Cordova, 64 Kennecott and McCarthy, same thing for Valdez, 68, actually Northway pushed up to 70, otherwise 62 in Fairbanks. And Kenai at 58, 64 Talkeetna, mid-60s here for the central interior. And then back where the sun was out, Ambler up to 81 this afternoon, and 76 up there on the north slope at Umiat Airfield, Nuiqsut 66 degrees, 45 at Barrow, and 75 at Eagle. Fort Yukon just 61, and then warm again out over the central part of the Seward Peninsula there. There's 78, White Mountain had 75, Nome 65, 75 here at Red Dog Mine, and lower to mid-70s across Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. That's Marshall with 72, 75 at Bethel, 52 out at Gamble. and mostly in the pretty uniform out here over the Bering Sea, all in the lower to mid 50s, including the Alaska Peninsula. Lows for tonight, pretty mild, 50s, mid to upper here over the central and interior, and portions, well, actually all the way down to the southwest coast. Upper 40s, lower 50s for the Panhandle and south central Alaska Copper River Basin, 30s on the Arctic coast. Highs for tomorrow back into the 75 to 80 or lower 80 degree range here through the central interior from the eastern border all the way out to the Seward Peninsula. More 70s in store for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta areas as well as northern Bristol Bay, and upper 60s near 70 here over south central Alaska. Some areas may see a little bit more sunshine than we saw today, and about the same for the southeast coast. Flying weather tomorrow, IFR, Prince William Sound, northern Gulf of Alaska, and of course out to the west there. That burns off to just some marginal VFR in the afternoon here all along the North Gulf Coast, most of the southeast coast except the northern areas. IFR, Bering Sea, north of the central or eastern Aleutian areas, and some marginal VFR near the coastline for the Arctic coast. Passes Anatuvik, VFR, same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR at times throughout the day tomorrow. Rainy, same forecast, occasionally marginal also for windy. And Isabel looks marginal at times. Mentasta trending toward marginal VFR with developing clouds, and Tanita VFR though. Portage, look for some marginal stuff on the eastern entrance, otherwise staying pretty good. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR becomes VFR in the late morning. For the freezing levels, again about 8,000 to 10,000 feet here across just about all of the interior or all of the state. And then a little cooler back to the west-northwest there coming into the Chukchi Sea. And for icing threats tomorrow, mixed icing in areas here in the shaded area, in the shaded zone there through much of the Tanana Valley, eastern Alaska Range, back down into the Kuskokwim. Otherwise, the remainder of the state icing free. For the winds aloft, jet stream here south of the entire area, kind of coming close here to the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island and diving back toward the southeast. Light wind flow at this elevation, 33,000 feet across much of the mainland areas. And at 9,000 feet, very light, kind of westerly, 5 to 15 or variable to westerly. Northeast, same speed, Arctic coast. 15 knots, Kodiak Island, 10 to 15 west-southwest across the Panhandle. Light winds in the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And that same pattern holds at 3,000 feet. Now we're seeing a little bit stronger winds here with this low pulling in toward the Gulf up there, and 25 to 30 knot winds associated with that. Otherwise light everywhere else, and turbulence-wise with those winds could be mechanical, light to isolated moderate chop bearing straight to St. Lawrence Island. Maybe that's a real stretch there on the western Arctic coast, as well as northern Lynn Canal areas to the extreme eastern Copper River Basin. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
That is the path. The path is, quote, open, unquote. Well, you can see the ocean down there and the beach. So we could have got through the path all right today. But this is the kind of day that people get killed trying.
All right, Cindy, today we're going to plan a flight through a mountain pass. The basic flight planning activities will be the same as you did on your first cross-country down to Seldovia and back, except that we'll have the complications of trying to find the right valley through the mountains and then prudently fly in a canyon or valley, cross a body of water, all of the things that come up with flying in Alaska through the mountain passes. We'll start the same as we always do with finding a suitable map. Now, you brought the aviation charts, and I have just a general map of all of Alaska. You can make a rudimentary assessment of the flight on any kind of a reasonable map, but when we get down to really planning a flight, unless your airplane goes very fast, you'll want to use a sectional chart. I noticed you brought a World Aeronautical chart, and that has a wealth of detail It's a beautiful map, but it isn't the best map for flight planning in an airplane like your 182. It does, however, depict the common VFR flyways by a series of diamonds through the passes. That's very handy. We'll always use the best map available to us, and in this case, that's the Seward sectional chart that you brought. The appropriate sectional charts give you the greatest amount of clear, readable detail of the country you're going to pass through. So we'll take our first look at Portage Pass. That's a close one to Anchorage. It's convenient, and it's a very good example of most of the conditions that you can find when planning a flight through any of Alaska's many mountain passes. We'll use an instrument flight planning chart to back up our assessment of distances. Just because the radio frequencies are published, the courses are published, it's a good adjunct to our basic visual flight planning. We'll also use the supplement. A good current supplement is just a wealth of information, and you shouldn't ever start a flight without one. Okay, I want you to go through all the steps you did before. Plot your courses. What direction are we going to go after takeoff? Where do we turn? How far will we be at the end of convenient time intervals? What times did you use on your last flight?
10-minute increments.
Every 10 minutes. Okay, go ahead and plot it right on the chart. There's a highlighter here. You can use this pen to outline the course center line that we want to take. And the special things that I want you to be sensitive to are the fact that as we go along, there'll be airports right adjacent to our route of flight. First of all, there's Hope, then Girdwood, then an old airport at Portage that may or may not really be usable, an airport at Whittier that's really tight up in the canyon. As we get further into Prince William Sound, the airports really thin out. There's one at Johnstone Point, another one at Boswell Bay, a very limited one at Strawberry Point. Well off the course, there's a small airport at Titlik, an airport at Valdez, and ultimately our destination airport at Cordova. Now, the important things that you can get from a map study are the gradients. You notice along Turnagain Arm that the summits are very close to the shoreline. Indicates very steep cliffs. No pasture land, no shallow meadows. It's a really mountainous pass. There are some large valleys just prior to getting to the pass itself. You can see that the railroad comes along, disappears and reappears, disappears and shows up then in Whittier, indicating tunnels. We can watch for those. And you notice that the mountains on the two sides of the valley get closer and closer together. We want to plan the flight so that you always have room to turn around. As we come in this valley, we'll hold, in this case, well to the right, so that as we come along over the lake, we should be able to see through the summit of the pass and see tidewater on this side. Cindy, as you fly up Turnagain Arm, we'll see the Girdwood and the ski area at Alyeska. And as we come to the end of the valley, in all passes, it's critically important that you get in the right valley, the one that goes through the mountains and comes out where you want to go. In the case of Portage Pass, you keep going with the same compass heading. You don't take the big broad valley to the right with the railroad in it. You don't take the big broad valley to the left that goes up to a couple of lakes. You keep going, and we're really lucky here. There's a road goes up there and dead ends. There's a significant and prominent lake, and there's a glacier coming down into the end of that lake. Then a very short pass with no road, no railroad. Over on the other side, we'll be able to see the large buildings in the city of Whittier. It's really important as you come to the summit of any pass to hold well to one side or the other. You look out, try to determine the wind. Note the drift of the airplane over the ground if you can, and try to stay on that side of the valley that will most likely have an updraft in it.
Okay.
Leave yourself plenty of room to turn around between the position of the airplane and the center of the valley. There should be room enough to turn around. If the valley is much narrower than that, then you proceed with a great deal more caution. If you feel you have to use that whole valley to turn around in, then you would consider the use of 1 or 2 notches of flaps. Slow your airplane up a little bit so that it'll turn in a shorter radius, using less of the valley to accomplish the turnaround if you need to turn around. In portage path, we'll hold to the right side. That gives us the earliest look through the canyon to see if we can get through to Whittier or not. We can identify this valley much easier than many of the mountain passes in Alaska. It's a straight forward pass, about a 40-degree heading change. As you get to the lake, you will turn left and come out over the city of Whittier, where there's a tank farm, a railroad dock, a number of large buildings, and a small airport nestled right in against the hillside. Once we get into the bay, we just follow a rather long, narrow bay, anticipating a right turn at the end, and we come out into College Fjord.
Okay, so once we come through the pass, if we run into a weather system through this range, through here, how do I get back through the pass to get back to Anchorage and make sure I don't go in a different pass than what I want to be in?
Well, Cindy, the best way, or one of the better ways, is to immediately note your compass heading as you're flying toward what constitutes the weather block. That way you can turn around, take an assessment of the wind correction angle, and fly a compass course that will start you back toward the correct path. As we proceed eastward, in this case, you look for landmarks, look for significant points of land, lakes, sheer cliffs, marine lights, anything that can be good pilotage clues to identify the correct valley. These maps are so detailed, and there is so much good pilotage information on them that you can, in fact, keep a very close position in your mind. You can know right where you are all of the time.
Okay.
As we come back over the route of flight, it will look quite different, but the same large characteristics, the buildings, the big valleys, even a cabin will look the same going the other direction. You can reconcile your pilotage significant landmarks going the other way. And of course, you do the same process of evaluation about updrafts and downdrafts, room to turn around, and which side of the valley gives you the best advantage for seeing through the pass. In the case of coming back through the pass, you would hold on the left side so that you'd have the best opportunity to see back through the pass and make sure you could retrace your steps.
Welcome back. Well, south winds increase to 25 knots, northern Lynn Canal tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, lighter and more variable to the south. Westerlies 15 to 20 on the south coast, and just barely a breeze to the north. For Monday, westerlies 15 here for the south coast, more variable and lighter up to the north. South 20 knots for Lynn Canal. And again, light variable winds, central and southern inside waters. Prince William Sound and the western Gulf Coast, light variable winds at 10 knots there, and westerlies at 25. That's going to be mostly toward the southern part of that marine zone for Kodiak Island. Otherwise, southwest 20 for Chillicothe Strait, 10 to 15 for Cook Inlet. Same thing for Monday here for Cook Inlet, southwest 15, Chillicothe Strait. Same thing on the east side of Kodiak Island. Light variable winds here for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, right down across the Barren Islands. Bristol Bay tomorrow, west winds 20 knots. Same thing back here on the north side of the peninsula. Southwest 15, turning west at 20 knots from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. For Monday, west-southwesterlies 10 to 15 knots here for the peninsula, light southwest breeze for Bristol Bay with seas 2 to 3 feet. And for the eastern Aleutians, variable on the north side here at 10 knots, but that low to the south, you may see some 15-knot easterlies here on the Pacific side of the eastern Aleutians there. Light winds for the central Aleutians becoming light and variable out to the west. And then for Monday, westerlies 10 to 15 here, west of Adak out to Shemya. Then southwest 10 to 15 knots here for the central and eastern Aleutians. For the southwest coast, west-northwest 10 to 15 tomorrow. Small craft advisories to St. Lawrence Islands. Those winds kick up to 25 knots out of the west. Then that drops back to 15 on Monday, and light winds here for the southwest coast, the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island. Arctic coast there, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, east to northeast 10 to 15. East 15 for the central coast, northeast 15 down to Cape Thompson. Then they turn westerly. And for Monday, no change. West winds here from Wales up to Cape Thompson. North winds to Cape Beaufort. Southeast 15 for the western coast. And then watch for those winds kicking up the small craft advisories there for the eastern Arctic coast with 6-foot seas. For tonight again, clouds and showers back through this area and maybe a few evening showers over the mountains of the Talkeetnas, maybe the Chugach, but some areas of low clouds and fog also developing over Cook Inlet. And then for tomorrow, partly sunny for the southeast coast and dry, mostly sunny Kodiak Island. Thunderstorms possible of the Talkeetnas, western Alaska Range, and cloudy and showery conditions. Looks kind of wet for the Tanana Valley over to the border. Dry and sunny again in the west and the north slope. And for Monday, not much change, partly sunny, afternoon showers over the mountains south central Alaska, pretty good for Kodiak, mostly cloudy, a few showers for the Panhandle, no change up in the interior.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.